Hey, it's Ansley Coale, and I'm in the former Germain Robin tasting room. And today I got this product that I think is really special. It's a creation. The formula and the process was developed by Devin, a young guy, and he learned a lot of his trade working for his dad, Crispin, who works out of our distillery in Redwood Valley, and he had a lot to do with developing the fluid dynamics products and also the DSPCA 162 flavored vodkas. I worked with him on some of that. We were tasting products, trying to figure out, especially I worked with him a lot on the raspberry product. But anyway, he came to me about 4 years ago, and he had this little sample of something. He says, "Hey, I made this out of fresh corn." And I tasted it. It didn't even, I mean, it tastes like whiskey, but it's like no whiskey you've ever had. And then he went away and worked for somebody else for a while. And when he came back, I put him to work about a year ago on developing the product for serious production. And it took us quite a while. And the way it works is that we get fresh corn by the pallet from the same guys who supply the supermarkets, as fresh as we possibly can. And we use white corn because we like the delicacy of the white corn flavors. Now I'm going to stop for a minute and talk a little bit how most whiskey is made. Whiskey is made not from fresh ingredients. It's all made, whether it's barley, wheat, rye, corn, or something like that. That stuff has been allowed to dry. And so the natural sugars and flavors that are inside the product have dried, and then the way you prepare corn whiskey, for example, is that you've got these dry, hard kernels. When they harvest this corn, it's yellow corn. It's the same corn used to make ethanol and hog feed and Fritos. It's allowed to dry on the stalk, and then they have this big combine that comes through and, takes the niblets, which are now hard and dry, and you take those, and then to develop, the sugars have all disappeared, and they've turned into starches. And so to make the sugar you need to fermentation, what you do is put the corn kernels in water and boil it. And that converts some of the starch back into sugar, and then that's what they ferment. You add yeast to it, and then that's what you ferment. And that's how you get the alcoholic malt or mash that you're going to distill. So what Devin did was figure out a way, which I'm not allowed to talk about because it's basically his secret, of how to use fresh kernels from corn. The corn comes, take the husk off of it, cut the kernels off of it, and ferment the actual kernels. And the natural sugar that was originally in the corn when it's fresh is what turns into alcohol, and you get a completely different set of flavor. It's fresh, it tastes, smells like corn. And then we distilled it in a way that, again, he's very good at inventing ways of doing things on the former antique Germain Robin cognac still, that still is wonderful, produces products that are complex and elegant, and especially it's good at producing spirits that have very well-defined flavors, very clean. So anyway, here it is. And we started on this a year ago. We started actual production. The corn came in, I believe, in February. And no, I've got that wrong, right? April. It came in April, and it took us a long time to get it absolutely right. We did some experiments before the big corn shipment arrived, and then everywhere along the line, we sort of had to do things very slowly, a lot of tasting and a lot of sort of adjustments so that we get it absolutely right. First time, it's always tough. But anyway, here it is. We bottled batch number 1 about a week ago, and 300 bottles. The only whiskey I know of that's made from absolute fresh corn. And there's two things about it that are important. The first is that, to my mind, most whiskey doesn't taste like whiskey, it tastes like oak. It's got just, for some reason, people's taste and the way they age it in new barrels and so forth adds this tremendous amount of oak to it. Where's the corn? So you can see how light this is. We put some oak into it by adding some older aged whiskeys, but it's very light, as you can see. Here's this gold color. And the second thing is we didn't filter it because it's got this slight golden haze to it because we didn't want to strip any flavor out of it. Okay, so I put it under my nose, and there's absolutely zero alcoholic harshness. If I didn't know it was alcohol, I wouldn't know it. I can inhale as deeply as I want, zero burn. And you get this beautiful, rich aroma of fresh white corn. We use white corn because we like the delicacy of the flavors and aromas. And there's just no bite. There's a little heat because, I mean, it's 42.5% alcohol, but basically what you get is this mouth-filling, rich, creamy, extremely soft, beautiful long finish. And it's a little too easy to drink. I mean, be careful, because you don't have that sense of consuming strong alcohol. So our senses is going to change how whiskey is looked at. I've said to people, why don't they make brandy out of raisins? Well, they do. Does it taste like cognac? No, because cognac's made from fresh grapes. So this is, unlike any other grain whiskey, corn included, made from absolutely fresh stuff. The same thing you go down to your grocery store and buy and eat. And so we made 300 cases of it. It's going to be on the shelf at Cadell and Williams. We'll send out an email about this, but here you go. Most of the people we've poured this for think it's the best whiskey they ever tasted, and that's how we feel about it. Don't miss this one.